Hey, this is Dave from CHAPS, Canadian Haunting and Paranormal Society, CHAPS family member from Ontario. Figured I'd do a bit of a op-ed video here on So You Want to Start a Team. And this is going to be speaking out to those as well that are investigators and want to be an investigator, or dealing with those such investigators, and dealing with clients, and or if a client's watching, knowing what a team actually goes through. A bit of CHAPS history to give you background to this. Started CHAPS officially 16 years ago. I've been investigating for about 26 years. We've managed to do about 400 some odd investigations throughout the Eastern Seaboard, most of Ontario. Lots of commercial and residential work, so this is where the experiences come from. And definitely when I used to teach the big 101 seminars, this is one of the big topics I would bring up about being an investigator or wanting to run your own team. Some of the things you're going to run into, and with reality, keeping with my normal thing, that's my script. Okay, so we're going to keep it on the cuff. You're going to hear my dog in the background whipping his blanket around. It's all going to be a natural thing around here. This is COVID times. Nothing is scripted. So one of the first things I'd want you to think about when you start a team, so now I'm speaking to those who want to run a team, is what type of team you are. What kind of team are you going to be? Are you going to be like a psychic-led team, or are you going to be an investigative-led team? They're both very different. Gotta be honest with you, I've seen a lot of teams that have both, and I don't see it working well. I really don't, because the problem is that that comes up to the client. The client generally will prefer the answer they're going to get from one part of the team rather than the other. And very, very, very few times have I seen pragmatics work together with psychics. Unfortunately, I've had poor experiences with psychics myself. There's a lot of them out there, and probably 9 out of 10 of them just don't know wind from their ass. So it is what it is. Myself, I could speak more to a pragmatic team. Okay, so you've got to think about what it is and put your mind and intention towards that, okay? Also, what I want you to do is get your mind off of television shows. Get your mind off of how they do things on the shows, because all those shows have producers. Obviously, as a TAPS family member, we are connected to a show. And, I know that they do real investigations and that noise, but I know that looking at things, there are still producers involved. There's still set directors involved, and sound guys, and 11 other people in there with a boom mic and whatever. It's never going to be like that. It's never going to be like when you get on an investigation, and it's going to be like it is on a TV show. Not once. Not once have I ever done an investigation and it was like a TV show. Producers will contact you eventually if you get enough media exposure. We have. And we've had a number of producers, but you know what, they always kind of turn it back, right? Because reality is boring. So get your mind off of that. Get your mind off of fame. Get your mind off of making money. Okay? Because there's a couple of things about what we do. If you are a team that plans to charge for your investigative services, turn off my video right now. I don't want to talk to you. Okay? Because you're a piece of shit, and there's nothing we need to talk about. We do this as a hobby science at best. You're not a scientist, none of us are scientists, very few of us are anyway, that actually have the degrees and education behind us. But you do is give our opinion. So we can't charge money for that. We can't go into somebody's house and do something and say, $300, because you can't prove. It's not like I can come in and fix a couple of your lights or fix your stove and it's done with. It really comes down to you're just giving an opinion, and it's like playing hockey. You pay to play, okay? It's what happens. You've got to be very, very careful, though, with that you're not giving that client that term of, yes, this is proof. Don't ever use the proof word. This is our opinion. This is what you could do. This is what it could be. Your rule there is to set them at ease and to help them and to find things that are not haunted. Your idea is to go in there and research and say, I really think that you've got an overloaded circuit which is causing high loads of EMF, which is causing synaptic response in your brain, which is giving you headaches and nightmares and the feeling of sleep paralysis or whatever, opinions. But that's all you can give them. So you can't charge them any money. If you charge them money, well, you're a piece of garbage. As it comes down to it, there's ways that eventually you'll benefit. Like if you do big seminars and teaching, you can sometimes share some money with a museum or whatnot. We've done that, and that helps buy equipment. Okay, but that brings to the next factor. Okay, is cost and the investment. Cost and investment of investigating. We've got to get real here. You're doing this at your own dollar. Okay, you're forming a team. Understand, don't go out there and get big bloody sponsors. I've heard of teams in Western Ontario that got offices paid for by people, and they're getting bursaries and all that noise, or they're charging for certain services. No, this is your cost. As a team, you've got to find the kind of equipment that you can afford, or get the large enough amount of money together to get the equipment that you need. It all depends on what equipment you think you're going to require, right? Investment, hotel rooms, travel, gas, coffee, lots of coffee. This is all your problem, okay? Being an investigator, these are all on you. It's all about just travel and love to do it, like just the coolness of doing it. The coolness of doing it. Investigators. This is going to speak to a guy to run a team, and what you're going to end up with is in levels of participation. I might come back to this topic, but in levels of participation, you're going to get the first people, the noobs that come to your team. You're going to run a team, you're going to have to be particular with newbies, because what you're going to get are what's called an investigat. That is a trademarked word. Don't use it unless you give me royalties. An investigator is a warm body. Make them onto your team. They're not really interested in doing background research. They're not really interested in doing any of that stuff. What they want to do is go to an investigation. And at that investigation, they want to have a WWE fight with the ghosts. They want to have what they see on TV, and they never do. And you'll find that investigats generally come to about 3 or 4 investigations. Don't do any background work. Don't do any of that stuff again. That's still you. You're the one who's doing all the listening to all the audio. And then they quit the team. Or they just stop participating in discussion because it's just not interesting enough for them. And unfortunately, sometimes you'll have veterans on your team, which will become investigats, that they don't listen to audio, they don't go over research notes, they just go to investigations. And even when they're at investigations, sometimes they just kind of walk around. So unfortunately, this is where integrity, I'm going to bring that word up 3 or 4 times, integrity of leadership comes in. And that's when you've got to scrub some of those people loose, because realistically, in your time of running a team, I can tell you, as a team like mine, I've probably gone through about 90 members. Okay, because people come in, do very little, I get rid of them. People come in, they're in for a while, they're really good, they lose the piss for it. Then I just say, hey, you've obviously lost your guile. You got to have that kind of integrity to keep the fact that you have a responsibility to clients to provide them with a service that you said you can do. And to keep the reputation of your team, right? If your team is worth its salt, it's going to want to keep a good name out there. And not make other teams look bad either, right? Like for me as well, I got to think about the CHAPS family. I don't want to make the other teams in the CHAPS family look bad. So I want to keep our integrity high. And sometimes you got to be the bad guy. Okay, that's just it's just a real factor. You've got to have integrity to know when you might be wrong. You've got to have integrity to be able to stand up and say no. Say to a client, when you go into that home and that home is full of garbage all over it, you got to have enough backbone to be able to say, I'm not investigating here. Or say to that client, when all that client wants to have is what most clients want to have, which is, I want you to verify that I'm right that the place is haunted because the psychic said so. They want that, but you've got to have the integrity to say, there's nothing in this home that I can find. Maybe this is what's happening. Okay? So integrity is a huge part of what we do. Reality. The reality of what we do. It's as boring as stink. Hundreds of investigations. I can think of maybe 10 of them that I was like, kind of creeped out of my skin a little bit, really excited, running around. Most investigations are really boring. And that's what happens. Why you lose people, because it's really boring. If you're planning on becoming an investigator on a real team, and I mean a team that's actually investigating, it's going to be boring. You're going to do it for the love of it. All right? This is more like playing a game of pool than it is a game of hockey. It's just what it is. Again, if you're expecting some kind of TV show out of the gig, or it to be like it, it's not. It never will be. A real investigation never is. You know, it's more about the love of hopefully coming across that piece of evidence where you go, holy crap, I really can't, I don't know what to do with that. Reality also, toys. Let's get real, guys. Everything that we have out there for what is built for what we do is based for immediate satisfaction. It's based on little lights going off and little hanging fingers up in the windows and door frames and chairs that look like crickets and skeletal machines and things that go boop and tell you we're nearby and handheld apps on our phones that the necro machine or whatever they call it, where it vibrates back at you and you hear wonderful noises, and spirit boxes where you hear little cuppets of words that you can't back up and you can't verify. So what gets really boring about it is that the majority of the tools that we use really are more about data retrieval. And that comes into something else. It comes into humility. You see, years ago I thought I had things really, really right, you know, and humility really comes over a number of years of working with other teams, and I always do advocate working with other teams, as you sometimes see that they do things better than you do. And even after 5 or 6 years of doing it, even after hundreds of investigations, they might do something a certain way, and you go, shit, that is so much better of a way of doing that. And you do it, and you realize you actually even get better results. I've learned that. You know, the guys at CHAPS were doing the headphone stuff with the parabolic dish or with their audio, and I'm like, let me try that. And it was really good. You know, and then we went to go work with CPRI down in Virginia, and these guys are actually scientists, they're chemical engineers and all kinds of stuff like that. And it was strange for us because the way they investigate is vastly different. It's largely it's more data collection, which is truthfully what's more pure investigation and scientific. Not quite our kettle of fish, nor not the way I would want to do it. But you know, we did kind of bend our ways a little bit more to data collection, seeing trends, going back to certain places. So it's okay to have. It's okay to have, you know, that humility to say somebody can do something right, or to you to say, "Damn it, I've been doing this wrong so long," or to go back on your old evidence and say, "I wouldn't accept that now." Okay? Some people live on old stuff. Don't do it. There's footage that we have that we got 10, 15 years ago that I look at now and go, "There's no way I would have accepted that now." Okay? Fatigue is a huge issue. It's a damn huge issue. You're going to have to, I've got people on my team that have been on my team for the entire 16 years the team's been around. And some of them are dropping off because it's just too much on them. Some of them are just getting old, some are getting sick. I know I've been dealing with a chronic illness for a while. Fatigue is just something you're going to have to deal with. Fatigue is something you're just going to have to accept the fact that you're going to have members that are going to be background. And you're going to have to bring in some new people, and you yourself running a team are going to feel fatigued. You're going to feel fatigued because, frankly, this is your baby. Nobody, you have to understand that nobody on your team, no one, not your best friend, not your wife, not anybody who's involved with your team is going to care about this team as much as you are. So you're going to have a really hard time looking at it and going, damn it, you know, like, why doesn't anybody want to do this? I put this post out 10 minutes ago and they're not answering to it. Well, guess what? That's part of life. They're not as interested in it as you are. So you have to live with the fact that you are probably going to do more review than anyone else. And then you're going to be begging people to be doing things like editing and all kinds of stuff like that. And you're going to be just whinging and losing your mind that people haven't answered your question on what they thought about this research project. It's all going to be that way, but you've got to have that point inside your head to understand that this is my baby and nobody cares about it as much as I do. With hope, you're going to get the answers that you need and you can put something together for it, but you will do the most work. If you're the one that runs the team, you will be the one that does the most work. I assure you of that. You will also be the one that puts in the most amount of cash. It's never going to be a payback situation. I've got a wonderful team. 80% of my team have been with me for years and years and years and years. I've got a wonderful team. But I have accepted the fact that they are not as interested in getting the job done as much as I am. A lot of them are very interested in getting the job done. But a lot of them, of course, have their own life. And for some reason, I don't have anything else in my life but this. You're going to have to deal with clients good and bad. Dude, you're going to have to deal with clients that basically, like I know for us, I have a kind of a way of dealing with a case management. And a lot of clients want to call you. Now, clients, I want you to listen to this. Okay? We don't want you to call us. And there's a reason for this. Because there's all kinds of clients at different levels of importance. That doesn't sound all that correct. Yes, you're right. There's the client that has the 42-room house that has had a graveyard installed in their basement and used to be an autopsy house, and there are 30 murders there. Sure, yes, we're jumping all over that. As opposed to the one person whose cat looks at the fridge a weird way and has a one-bedroom apartment in the basement of a place that is 12 hours away from here. You're right. So here we talk about that, and we have to accept that, being a client and a team. But as a team, we have to accept that we have to do clients and or find somebody for them. But you're also going to have clients that don't clean their home. You're going to have clients that want to call you at 3 o'clock in the morning. This is why you don't give out your phone number. They want to call you out and bash you when you don't give them the opinion that they wanted, because they said their place was haunted. I get this on a daily basis because people ask me to take a look at pictures and I say, I don't think it's paranormal, I think it's this. Well, we have a psychic friend that said it is. Okay, well then it is. So you're going to get clients good and bad. We've had clients, you'll have to excuse my wife who's in the background, we've had clients throw things at us. We've had clients throw toys at us. We've had to walk through animal poop. Yep. We've watched abuse. We've walked into rooms full of decrepit, I'm a guy, but like decrepit porn. You know, we've had to call the Children's Aid Society. We've had to have lawyers involved. All kinds of stuff. You know what I mean? We've paid thousands of dollars to investigate a location to find out that everything that they say about the investigation, the place, is complete bupkis. So you're going to make mistakes. You're going to have clients of all kinds. You're going to have clients that are going to become your friends. I've got at least 30 friends on Facebook that were past clients. I've got investigators on my team that were past clients. You show up, sometimes clients have got a big spread, pizza and all kinds of stuff out. Sometimes they've got friends over taking pictures of you and they want to do a big dinner with you. Sometimes you've got clients that don't want to be there and that's fine. Sometimes you've got clients that want to stick on your shoulders and all that. Sometimes you've got clients that want to help verifying that their address is haunted so that they can rent it out as a haunted location. Those said locations might end up being run by child molesters. You're going to run into a cadre of people. Hundreds. I've met thousands of people doing this, okay? And they're all right. Every single one of them is correct. But that's what that is. So good and bad. You're going to develop some great relationships and you're going to have lots of growth and change. And things with your team are going to change over the years. And your methods are going to change over the years. And you're going to go through crap period where it's like we've got a K2, a crappy video machine, a terrible audio. You're probably, I remember when we started, we recorded everything directly to VCR tape. And then we made videos, we would edit it that way. My wife thought that was funny, and she started making us our DVDs. So we thank her for making any of these more interesting. And you change over time, you know, like now we've got better equipment. Then we went through the period where we had lots of toys. We had this toy, this toy, this toy. And then we went through the period where these toys were almost more like beta test. Okay, why the hell would we use this toy? Let's test it out, right? That was the phase I had just gone through most recently, and then got rid of everything. Now, like, my entire kit fits in one case. It's just really great. Okay, so that exists. Innovation. You've got to think of different ways of playing things. You've got to think of different ways of talking, different ways of getting at people, different ways of making your team different. Putting your footprint out there. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. And you've got to be interesting so that your team wants to stay with you, because hell no, mine probably wants to quit. But, you know, using equipment in different ways. Because we don't know what spirit is. We don't know if we're hunting anything whatsoever. Nobody's ever proven anything in our field. Ever. So, we're going to try different ways. alienation. Oh boy, do you ever lose friends, man? Do you ever lose friends quickly? Friends don't like the team. You work together within a team. They're dicks, so you stop seeing each other. It's like a breakup. People you ask to leave your team, alienated, gone. You have to accept the fact that that exists. Yeah, man. Participation is a gig. It's a hard thing to get everybody involved with. It really is. It's the hardest thing to get everybody involved with. It's participation, and getting a client to understand what you're trying to do are the two hardest things. Videos. Let me go back up to like things like innovation and being interesting. Making videos. I got no problem making videos. Obviously, we've got over 200 of them online. We do it as sort of a case diary as well as something for people to watch. I got no problem with being entertaining. But I want you to be factual with your entertainment. Be fun with it, but don't make shit up. I'm okay with a reaction. There have been times when on video I've been like, I have no idea what that is. Dude, I chased what I thought was a shadow all the way down the hallway of a hospital, only to turn around and find out that I was alone in a room. Was it an amazing experience? Hell yes. Did I react to it? Absolutely. Was it factual? I don't know. I didn't get anything on it, but it was an experience. My wife and I walked through a field at Gettysburg, and you would have thought there was a legion of moose behind us with metal pieces slamming together. It was awesome. No fact to it. Got no evidence. But you know what? I can say about that on video. But I'm not making it up. I'm just saying that's what I experienced. I wouldn't create something to happen. And unfortunately, too many do. And finally, I think one of the last key points is that this is a rude one. Like the paranormal community is the closest I have to anybody. They've been there for when I was sick and when I was down. The strongest people I got involved with were, and the best friends I have are part of the paranormal. But the biggest enemies I have are in the paranormal. And the people I dislike the most are in the paranormal. The paranormal research gig is the most rewarding, most insulting thing you'll ever be a part of. And I want you to know that competition is worse than like the NHL. Go to a public one time. I can recall me and a couple lads. I've been down to Rolling Hills a couple times. Only been there for a public. It's too expensive to rent for what I think. And there were like 20 other teams there. And people there with fishing jackets full of equipment, wires dazzling all over the place there, and radios running up and down hallways. And we look like that too when we're on investigations on our own. But they're dressing the part. And it's humorous because we came with a camera bag full of equipment. I think we had 4 things. I think we had audio, I think we had a camera, we had a video camera, and it might have had a EMF. So by virtue, we were very boring. Competition is a huge, huge, huge factor in what we do. But don't let that get you down. Don't watch a video. Don't see somebody on YouTube that's getting 33 million hits because they made little tiny chuckles in the back of their head happening. Don't think about it. Don't worry about it, because you have integrity. I go back to that word, integrity. It's a competitive game, but he who strives wins. And when you have the respect of your peers, it's more important than 100,000 chuckleheads out there thinking that you're incredible. Just think about some of the people that are on TV right now and who finds them to be incredible. And then imagine what they're really like. And really imagine how much they really know and have experienced. Right? So there's lots of competition out there. It sounds like a terrible thing, but it's the truth. Keep your integrity. Don't make yourself something that you're not. Be prepared for what you're going to do. Be prepared for your investigators not to do what you want them to do in the long run. And be blessed when those investigators that are as obsessed about this as you are as involved with it as you are. Okay? So, I hope that was okay if you want to start a team.